to Dynamic Point, your exclusive source for SharePoint applications built for the Microsoft Dynamics ERP and CRM solutions. Today I'll go ahead and demonstrate for you our expense management product built exclusively for Dynamics GP and NAV. Let's go ahead and get started. I've gone ahead and navigated to our SharePoint homepage where our expense management application is deployed. In your case, you can drop the application anywhere within your corporate intranet, making it easy for employees to access. Additionally, I want to highlight that I'm going to be Tim Ball today in our demonstration environment creating expense reports on his behalf. So let's go ahead and navigate to Tim's homepage on homepage for expenses, and you'll see here that he's got a numerous amount of expense reports and varying statuses, as well as a summary of his expenses by category by month. Let's go ahead and create a new expense report for Tim. The first thing is the header, and this is going to require that he gives some general information specific to the expenses incurred. So I had a recent sales and marketing conference in Houston, so we'll use that for our example today. If I could type a little better. But I also want to highlight that Tim can actually create an expense report on behalf of somebody else. Not going to do that today, but this is super helpful maybe for an assistant creating one for an executive on their team. Additionally, you'll notate that today's date defaults as our report date, and then we're going to establish a begin and an end date for this particular report. This was a social media conference. Just a little bit more background for those reviewers to understand. And you'll note that the reimbursement and credit card totals are zeroed and grayed out, and that's because we have not associated any individual expense items. Now as I hit create, we'll have the ability to start adding those items. We're going to start with a general expense item first. The first thing will pop up is your expense date. That will default to the first date within the report period, and then you're required to fill in an expense type. This is super important because the solution is configured to actually associate these particular expense types with GL codes in Dynamics. So I stayed at the Marriott. It was a 2-night stay and a cost of $200. Now I have the ability to actually attach a receipt at the line item level, which I'll go ahead and do so here, but keep in mind we also can do it at the header level. I'll show you that at the end. I can quickly browse to my desktop and grab a receipt that I may have scanned in. I'll go ahead and do that. But I also have the ability to select receipts from a library. And this is a SharePoint email-enabled library that stores receipts that I may have emailed to it. Perfect example would be a traveling salesperson that snaps a picture of a receipt on his phone. He can quickly email this to receipts@mycompany.com, and based on his user information, as he logs in, under his library, he's going to see any receipts that he's actually sent in to that email address. Quickly attaching those to the expense report. So I'll go ahead and save our first expense item, but now I'm going to go ahead and select a credit card transaction. Now this functionality actually allows us to automate corporate credit card transactions and associate them specifically to Tim Ball. These are his credit card transactions, and the only one that can truly be notated to this expense report is the Turkey Hill one, and that's based on the actual date. It's looking at the 12/9. It's the only date that would be potentially could be added to this particular expense report because of our begin and end date. So I'm going to go ahead and notate that Turkey Hill expense. It's actually the expense type has been already coded based on the information that we were able to gather from the credit card company. So I can simply save that and associate that transportation fee directly to this expense report. No need to rekey all that information. I'm going to add one more expense type here. We'll just do a meal real quick. And I went to Ruth Chris for dinner. Wish I was going there tonight. Working dinner with social media team. And that was more than my hotel, $300. I'll go ahead and save that, which will associate that to our expense report now. We've got 3 expense items, and I'm going to go ahead and add a mileage item now. Now the mileage item again will default the mileage date to the first date of the report period, and I actually traveled back and forth from home to the airport, so I'll notate that. But you'll notice that I'm only entering mileage because on the administration side of our application, we can actually associate a mileage rate to a particular time frame. So you'll see the calculation of 20 miles is going to notate that that's a $10 reimbursement, all done behind the scenes. Now, before I actually submit this for approval, I want to show you how you can do an attachment at the header level. And this can be most beneficial for those people that actually scan all their receipts into one file. You want them to be able to associate that to this expense report, and you can do so that quickly. I'm going to go ahead and save the expense report at this point. I can actually navigate back out to my expense report page. You'll see that this sales and marketing conference is under a status of not submitted. I forgot a receipt, so I don't want to submit it yet. It gives you the ability to come back in here, edit the actual report, and make any additions that you may need to do so. But let's go ahead and submit it and kick off our workflow process. As I hit the submit button, you're going to notice that a few things change. Our status goes to under review, and status details highlights that we're kicking off the workflow. In our demonstration environment, you'll see that Tim Ball, his supervisor is Sean Porter. So we're going to go ahead and log in as Sean Porter now so we can go through the review and approval process. Now you'll see that I'm logged in as Sean Porter. Under the expense management task page, I have several tasks assigned to me. So that's one way I would know that I actually have something to review and approve. But the most common path is via Outlook. So inside Sean Porter's inbox, he's going to receive an email triggering him that he has a new task assigned to him. As he clicks into that, he'll see that it was from Tim. It's got a due date associated to it. That way we can trigger those nagging reminders if something has gone on too long without being reviewed or approved. So I can navigate to the expense site homepage, which we just saw, going into Sean Porter's task again, or I can quickly navigate directly back to that specific expense report. As I do that, I see all the header information. I have the ability to review the line items, see the specific attachments related to those. Let's go ahead and review those. Perfect. I'm going to go back to the expense report here, and let's go ahead and approve it. So as we approve this report, I'm going to go back out to my expense task, and you'll see that there's a new task assigned to the finance team. This is a two-step approval process. First, Sean Porter, the manager's got to review and approve, and then we need the finance team to approve. To make things a little bit simpler for the demonstration, I don't have to log in and out again. I actually assign Sean to that finance team. So let's go ahead and pull up that expense report. What's nice here is I can go to notes and I'll see Sean Porter approved this in the past. I also have an audit history with all the date and time stamps associated to this. And here I'm going to go ahead and say approved. We'll approve this expense report. Now I'm going to quickly log back in as Tim Ball so you can see what he'll show on his side. So Tim Ball will go to his expense reports. You'll see now that his sales and marketing conference that we created on 12/13 is approved and complete. Now I want to go ahead and highlight how we automatically create that payable within Dynamics. We can do so via Dynamics GP or NAV. Today I'm going to go ahead and highlight Dynamics GP. We'll navigate to purchasing, the transaction entry, and here we'll see that payable that was automatically created within Dynamics GP. We'll notate the description is pulled through of the sales and marketing conference, and it's associated to our employee Tim Ball. Now Tim is set up as a vendor obviously in Dynamics GP. We have all of his information here to ensure he's reimbursed accurately for that expense. Additionally, up here under voucher number, we'll see that we've got a WS with a date and time stamp. That's us automatically creating that batch as the expense report was approved. Probably most importantly is the distributions. Here you can highlight exactly how we've automatically derived the appropriate GL code based on the expense type that was selected by the reviewer. One other thing I want to highlight that many people on the finance side seem to appreciate is the ability to drill back into the approved expense report. As you hit the dynamic point icon, you can go directly back to the expense report that was reviewed, go through any notes or audit that was associated, or review the audit trail that was associated with this particular expense report. At this point, you have the ability to actually go ahead and take care of this payable via your normal process, whether that be a check or direct deposit. We appreciate you joining us today as we go through the expense management automation application for Dynamics GP and Nav. Please feel free to visit dynamicpoint.com for any additional questions. Thank you.